Cat Days by Griffin Rose on AO3. Episode 14, Chapter 3, Izuku, the Social Butterfly. When Izuku spent too much time as an animal, certain traits, or habits, tended to carry over to his human self. It didn't happen as often anymore, since he trained enough to recognize those habits and stop himself from doing them. He also didn't spend a lot of time as any one creature, so it was hard for those habits to stick. The exception was cats. Once he was comfortable with shifting, he had taken to shifting into a cat a lot. He'd curl up on the couch while watching a documentary or cuddle as a ball of fluff with Dad or Uncle Sashi. If Dad brought stray homes, Izuku would morph and comfort the newcomers, let them know that they were safe now. And surely, there was nothing better than napping as a cat in a patch of sunlight. Pure bliss. That was a habit he'd never grown out of, which led to some interesting situations. Now that he was at UA, if he didn't go out after school with his friends to do homework, he'd wait on campus until Dad and Hisashi were ready to go. Sometimes he'd study while he waited, but a lot of the times he found a good sunny spot and napped. He never failed to attract other students like this, no matter how secluded the spot. "Aw, what a cute kitty," an older girl with long blue hair said. "Why is it green?" her friend with pointed ears asked. "That's not natural, is it?" Slim fingers scratched behind his ears. Izuku should be embarrassed by this, should be swatting them away. But it felt good, and his cat mind found it acceptable. "Looks natural," the third and final person said. And oh, Izuku recognized this one. It was hard to forget the guy from last year's sports festival who kept losing his pants. "Do you think he's a stray?" Najiri asked, scratching Izuku's side. "I don't think a stray would pass security," Amajiki said. "He could be a teacher's," Mirako suggested. "Should we take him to the teacher's lounge?" Izuku would die of embarrassment if the big three of UA brought him in cat form to Shouta and Hisashi. He never let him live this down. He meowed at them and stood. All three of them put their hands back quickly, and Izuku scampered off. "Wait, kitty!" Najiri called. Izuku did not wait. He disappeared around a corner, found a tree, and expectantly climbed up into a branch before they could round the same corner, disappointment coloring their faces. He should be the disappointed one. There had been a prime nap location. A shady tree hardly made up for it. He was about to jump down when another student walked around over the tree. He looked directly at him. Izuku didn't recognize this one, but he looked like a first year. He kind of reminded Izuku of Shouta, with the dark eye bags and slight zombie expression. "How did a cat get past the gates?" "Huh," he asked. "And now you got yourself stuck in a tree." Izuku was not stuck, thank you very much. But if this guy was willing to act a stepping stone, Izuku wasn't going to say no. Izuku jumped onto the kid's fluffy purple hair, startling him and sending them both crashing to the ground. Izuku sprawled over the grass, a dozen regrets passing through his mind. "Shit," the kid said, rolling over and checking on Izuku. "I didn't expect for you to jump. Are you okay?" He lifted Izuku into his arms, settling him in his lap. His hands shook while he checked Izuku for injuries. One more regret passed through Izuku's mind. He hadn't meant to freak the kid out. "At least you're okay," the kid said. He continued petting Izuku, hands still trembling slightly. He decided to stay until the kid calmed down. It was the least he could do after nearly giving him a heart attack. The kid scooted back to lean against a tree, keeping Izuku in his lap and constantly running his hands through Izuku's fur. "Do you have a home?" The kid wondered out loud. "Wish I could bring you with me. What my fosters would freak." Now, plenty of parents would flip out at their kids unexpectedly bringing a cat home. Hisashi went through the 5 stages of grief every time Shouta brought a new one through the door. What the kid said wasn't necessarily a cry for help, but the fact that the kid was still here, at school, when he could have gone home, and didn't seem to have a reason to be here. The fact that he didn't entertain the idea of texting and asking his parents. The fact that they were fosters, not parents. The way he sounded so resigned. Animal instincts picked up a lot more than human instincts did. And right now, Cat Izuku heard a cry for help, loud and clear. Now, how to offer it without freaking out the kid? Most people didn't take a cat they were petting seriously, turning into a human very well. He'd probably score the kid off before anything else, or the kid would leave from embarrassment. Izuku! President Mike yelled. Time to go home! His voice carried across the campus. Nothing near the destructive levels he used in battle, but enough that anyone within the vicinity of the staff room was probably very annoyed now. Damn, he's loud, the kid murmured. Izuku stood and shook himself, jumping off the kid's lap. He turned back to him. The kid stared at him. Are you Izuku? Do you have to go? He nodded. Violet eyes widened. You understand me? That's insane. He laughed and shook his head. Guess I shouldn't expect anything less from Yue's teacher's cat. Izuku did not have the ability as a cat to correct him. Well, you better go now before he gets worried, the kid said. Izuku looked back at the building. He was right. Sashi and Dad would be worried if he didn't answer them soon. He looked back at the kid. I'll be here tomorrow again, if you want. The kid offered. It would work for now. Izuku nodded, bumping his head against the kid's leg, and then sprinted inside to where he left his backpack and phone, morphing back. He quickly texted Hisashi that he was on his way, and met them in the parking lot to go home. The car barely started before Izuku started asking about the kid. Do either of you know a kid with purple hair sticking straight up? Oh, does he kind of look like Shouta when he forgets to sleep for a week? Sashi asked. Yes. Hey, I haven't done that in months. Dad grumbled. That's Shinso Hitoshi, Hisashi said. A first year in 1C, and the fact that it happened even within the last year is bad enough, Shouta. Dad grumbled and shrunk lower in his front seat. Shinso Hitoshi, Izuku repeated. Do you know anything else about him? Hisashi hummed. I know he wants in on the hero course, but so do most in that class. His grades in English are excellent, so I imagine he's pretty studious in all his classes. Why the entrance? Dad asked. Oh, does someone have a crush? Hisashi asked, glancing back. No, nothing like that. Izuku shot down. He found me as a cat today, and I'm worried about his home life. The mood in the car twisted instantly. What did he say? He said his fosters would flip if he brought a cat home, which is understandable, but why was he even still at school? And he grunted, struggling to articulate what his cat self had found so obvious. I just had a feeling about it. Dad and Sashi glanced at each other. We can't do much from that alone, but we'll keep an eye out, Dad said. Give him a chance to tell us if he wants to. Invite him over sometime, if you want, Hisashi suggested. They never minded Izuku bringing friends over before, but Izuku felt weird about it now when his friends were also their students. They hadn't said anything, but they also hadn't offered to open their homes for study sessions despite the many times he'd gone out on everyone else's house, so he thought they felt weird about it too. I've got to find a way to talk to him without freaking him out, Izuku murmured. Why can't you just go up to him as a teenager? Dad asked. Because he knows me as a cat? Human me isn't supposed to know anything about this. He's gonna figure out eventually that you shapeshift, Dad stated. Dragging it out is only gonna make it worse in the long run. Yeah, I guess you're right. Izuku agreed. Shinso might think Izuku was making fun of him or something if he didn't tell him the truth right away. The next afternoon, he fully intends to come clean and hopefully drag out a confession. Except he's exhausted from a rough heroics class, and he'd fallen asleep under the tree waiting for Shinso. By the time he woke up, Shinso was already idly petting him, and Izuku was nuzzled up to his leg. Stupid cat instincts. He was too mortified to change back that afternoon and explain things, and really, he wasn't sure how to ever come back from this. It was a lot easier when he was a kid and actually stuck as a cat. But then, it wasn't his fault. And who was going to blame him for enjoying what comforts he could? He didn't have any of those excuses now. Shinso also didn't offer anything up about his home life. So Izuku's mind, they were at a stalemate. Okay, I want to talk about one thing very important, but before I get to that, God, I wish this was a ship fic. This would be perfect setup for a ship fic. I still very much heavily headcanon that Shouta, Aizawa, and Hisashi are dating in this fic because I'm sorry, they were roommates? Sure. Historians would call them best friends roomies. What was the other? Anything but lovers. Historian hates lovers. Okay, whatever, moving on. Now the actual important thing I wanted to talk about, so deep, serious voice now. I have my glasses on. No, I don't. I lied about that. So, Izuku, what he refers to as his animal instincts, his cat instincts, on why he thinks Hitoshi is in a not-so-good home. I'm sorry, Izuku, that's not your animal instincts. That is literally your trauma instincts. As I said before, Izuku can pick up on this shit because, for the most part, we can pick up on that shit when we have gone through that shit. You get what I mean? When you've gone through it, you know what signs are there. You can tell. You just know, you know? It is something that is engraved in your mind. You can see the telltale. Give me a second. I hear my cat. I'm back. So, sorry. But as I was saying, we see the signs. I've said it before, so I'm not going to go on a whole rant again, but just know that that was not Izuku's animal instincts. It was Izuku seeing the signs. And, I'm here sitting, like, should I headcanon that, like, they get together, or is it going to be one of those awkward things where they're siblings? Oh god, I really hope it doesn't amount to that. Oh, fuck. I have a feeling it's gonna go that way. Oh, well, crap. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. It is a genfic. It is a genfic. I have to understand. It's a genfic. It's a genfic. Okay. As always, okay, I keep saying, it's a genfic, but I really like genfics, don't get me wrong. I really like this. Found family is, like, super nice. I really like this. I really hope that Hitoshi gets out of that circumstances. Ooh! Hitoshi getting adopted by Namuri. I've always... I want that. Okay, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.